Howdy folks. So today we have this. This is an electric screwdriver. Now, I've been looking for a good electric screwdriver for quite some time now. And I find that most of the ones that I've bought fall into one of three categories. Either they're designed for more large-scale things, so they have really big bits on them. They're designed for woodworking and home improvement, that kind of stuff, which is no use to me working with small electronics and stuff like that. But the ones that do have small bits on the ends, they're usually very small little motors, and they fall into one of two categories. Either they have a ridiculously high speed but absolutely no torque, so they can't really undo any screws, which makes them useless, or they have such a high gear reduction that they're so slow that it's faster to just do it by hand, negating the whole purpose of having an electric screwdriver. So I've been very, very dissatisfied with all the ones that I've bought up until this point. So I went out and I bought this. Now this is, I got this off eBay, straight from China. And this is the style of screwdriver they actually use in assembly plants to actually make probably the stuff that you're taking apart. So that was my thinking that this would be much more suited to what I wanted, given that's what it was designed for. This wasn't very expensive. I think I paid 30 Canadian dollars to get this shipped, so not very much whatsoever. You can go to Home Depot and get one for far more than this. So the pricing was very good. So when I got it out of the box, it was in a clear plastic bag, and there was this orangey yellow grease all over it, like it had just been made and shoved into a bag. So it took me about 5 minutes to clean it off, and then through my first couple minutes of using it, the rest of the grease sort of absorbed, my hand sort of absorbed it, and I had to wash my hands a bunch of times. But once the grease came off of it, everything was good. So the packaging was kind of a fail, but once it's clean, this thing really is awesome. I'm very happy with this. So the TLDR is buy this. So a little bit more detail than that. So this is the, actually let's start with the power supply. So this is a mains powered device. So it's not battery powered. I don't really care because I'm usually working at a bench, so not a big deal for me. So it's got a small cord. It's only about 2 feet long. And we've got this, which is our switch mode power supply. It has a green LED which comes on, and when I show it to you, you can see that. And it has this speed selector switch which goes between low and high. And this thing I think is supposed to be somewhere between 600 and 1200 RPM. I have no way of verifying that, but I find that I never really need to raise it above the low. It's plenty fast the way it is, so I don't need to add extra RPMs. I think it makes everything really fast. Now the switch mode supply, it's got no real markings on the bottom. It's very light. I have taken this apart. I'm not going to do it in the review, but if you want me to do a teardown, I can do that. The power supply is actually very good in this. It's not like most of the Chinese supplies. It has full EMI suppression, it has fuses, it has good isolation, it's got quite a few components. It's actually quite decent. It's probably still not North American standards, but it's definitely not the scary shit you get out of China. So I am totally okay with plugging this in and using it. I feel safe. It's got another little 2-foot cord on it with this. So this is just a little plug end. So the power supply ends in this, and the actual screwdriver head has this. This is a DC connector. Apparently these appear to be standardized, so you could use this power supply with a different screwdriver and vice versa, should you happen to have more than one. The cord is probably 4 feet, 5 feet long. I haven't measured it. And you get the screwdriver itself. So it's got a little hook here, so you can hang it on one of those spring-loaded things if you're in an assembly line. Chances are you probably aren't, so this is probably not that much use to you. We have the on-off switch, which is a depression switch. This is actually very nice to use. It's very clicky, very tactile. depresses with very minimal travel. This is actually a nice switch. So when you get into it, it's quite nice. We have a switch here which is forward on the bottom and reverse on the top. Feels pretty nice. It's marked on the side there, as you can see. It's got some Chinese characters on this side, no idea what they mean. We have a metal body, it's in two pieces. One which looks like it's got some sort of finish on it, the other one that's smooth. Plastic piece, and then we've got the end here. So these bits, it comes, at least the one that I got, it doesn't seem that all the ones on eBay come with bits, but the one that I got came with a set of bits. So it's got a Phillips that I've got on here right now. It comes with four other Phillips, so 5 Phillips in total, plus 3 flatheads and 2 Torx. So it's got, and these are actually quite small. I mean, the smallest Phillips is quite small, so you could actually do some really fine stuff with this. The bits are pre-magnetized from the factory, and they actually have a pretty decent magnetization. That's why you can see they're kind of sticking to each other. So you could, of course, demagnetize them, but I mean, why would you? That's actually pretty nice. So I've just got the Phillips in here. To change these bits, you take this little metal ring here and you push it back, and then you can pull the bit out. Oops, hit the camera there. And then to put it back in, you just slide it back in with the grooves and let go. And it's very fast to change the bit. It's fully captive, so it's not magnetic or anything like that. It will not come out no matter how much force you put on that, which is really nice. And then there's this plastic ring here. I would have liked to see this be metal, but it is plastic. And this has to do with the clutch that's in here. So when you are screwing something in, it will stop and it will click, 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 click without spinning any further. And the torque that causes that to engage is set by this screw. So if you can turn this, when you back it out, it reduces the amount of torque required for it to stop. And if you screw it in tighter, it will apply more torque and you can get a tighter screw. And I don't actually have to push this all the way in to get it to tighten things really tight. I mean, this thing is far more powerful than you might expect. This thing would probably break plastics if you had this all the way in. So I keep it somewhere in the middle, and it does very well. So in order to show you how this thing works, I'm going to disassemble this again. So I've got a power strip on my bench here. So you can see the green LED, it's kind of just off on the one side. It's not super well centered, but shouldn't matter. So this is on the lowest possible speed setting. It's quite torquey. I like that. So reverse. That's not really a screw, so that doesn't really count. This thing is quite annoying to get off. Okay, so we've got a couple Phillips screws here. Do we have the right bit? Yeah, it's good enough. See, this is where you might not want a magnetic screwdriver, because then you could just drop the screws everywhere and pick them up at the end. I mean, how much faster can you possibly get? That's awesome. So I'll put it in forward, and I will put the screws back, this is probably where the magnetic is nice. Now that screw was already stripped, so I'm not surprised that it didn't. You didn't hear the clutch there. Okay, this clutch may actually be too far in, because this plastic housing is very cheap plastic. So I've loosened it a bit. Okay, wow. This thing is far more powerful than you might expect. I'm using a bad example. I haven't tried it on this before. This is really shitty plastic. There we go. So that's the sound you get when it stalls out. So I had to back this thing off almost all the way to get it to not strip these. But there you go. And then you can I like to keep it a little bit tighter because most of the stuff that I work on is not nearly as shitty as this Honeywell thermostat here. But yeah, I'm very happy with this. I put that on the right way. So I'm very happy with this. As far as everything goes, this is my new favorite tool. This thing is going to make everything way faster. Actually, I'll just show you what the different speeds are. So this is minimum, and that's maximum. So the pot on the power supply isn't exactly linear. You can hear right near the end. It gets very the voltage increases very quickly, but not a big deal. Because generally, I think you'd probably want to use it on the lower end of the scale anyway, because that thing's just far too many rip'ems for a screwdriver. It's more like a drill at that point. But yeah. This is an excellent product, definitely worth the money. I mean, at least the one that I got was safe. The bits it comes with are good. I know you can buy replacement bit sets separately. I haven't seen any sets of this base that actually have like different ends. I'd like to expand my collection of bits. That would be nice. But from just what I've used, I haven't needed to grab my 50-piece screwdriver set yet, and chances are most of the stuff that I'm going to be taking apart is going to be using this anyway. So yeah, definitely worth the money. I'm very happy with this. The packaging sucked, but the product is great. So thanks for watching.